Hey guys, I'm Christy Alexander, and this is the American Studies team. So we're just the weirdest, wackiest open house ever. So we are here today to record ourselves telling you guys all about what it means to be in a part of American Studies. So I've been at East since 2004, and I have 25 years of teaching experience, and I've actually taught American Studies for over 10 years. And so what I've learned in those 10 years is that American Studies is really unlike most of the courses that your kid will ever take, because we go to such great lengths to make sure that your kid feels at home when they're a part of our American Studies class. We want our course to feel like one big family, and we want every kid to feel like they're special because they chose to take this class. So it's all a part of this effort just to feel like one big family. We have for years had an upstairs version and a downstairs version. So there are a few of us who teach upstairs, and then the great South Bauer, who has owned downstairs for the last couple of years. And that in and of itself kind of creates this healthy competition. So it's always like, we've got to be better than downstairs, or upstairs is always going to do a better job at this or that or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, we spend a lot of time and effort making the kids feel like we're all a part of this one big team. And so as a result, since we started in August, we've made sure that the kids all know each other, and that they know all of the teachers, so that it's no surprise to them if Miss DeVilliers posts something on the Bauer South Google Classroom that really wouldn't throw them off at all. We've had guest lectures from Mr. South, and Ms. Cox talks about, what Mr. South had to say about this. And so we are constantly referencing each other, because we want the kids to all feel like it's all one and the same, and that we're all working together and we're all a part of this. And the other good thing about that is that we work so closely together that we are trying this year more than any other to make sure that our kids feel like we all know what we're doing at any given point of time. So we plan all the time. We're constantly working together to hone out to make sure every assignment, every material, every resource that we give them, we've all had some part in, we've all had some say in. And the same goes with assessments. When we give our kids tests, when we give them essays to write, we're all working together to grade those. And so if we have an English essay, I'm asking Ms. Bauer to look over 2 or 3 of them, because I just need her input, and I want to see how she's doing with her kids. And so it's a constant ongoing effort to be on the same page, and to also get to know each other's kids. And so that by the end of the year, the kids really feel like they've had a complete and total experience. As far as just details of the class, it is a double blocked class, which means that the kids have it first and second period, or fifth and sixth period together. And because so much of what we do kind of blends or blurs that line between English and history, we also just use one grade book. And so you'll find the grades throughout the course of any 9 weeks grading period in either my grade book or in Ms. Bauer's grade book. But it's not because our history teachers are slackers. It's just because it's much easier to see the average change by doing it that way. And then of course at the end of the grading period, they move it over into theirs. So for just a little bit more about who we are, let's talk to Mr. South next. Hi, Mr. South.
Thanks for saying. So my name is Harrison South, but you'll see David here on the screen, as well as on my email, david.south. So that's just because I go by my middle name. So that's a little quirky thing about me right off the bat. But I've been teaching American Studies. This is my second year teaching with Ms. Bauer. It's my 3rd year here at East, and I love American Studies. I think that it allows our students to ask wonderfully hard questions about what it means to be an American, and I think it's a beautiful course. So I am going to give just a few more kind of nuts and bolts about what our class is doing this year and how to approach American Studies. As far as, it is an AP course, and so because it is double blocked, like Ms. A was saying, you have the opportunity to take 2 AP tests. So you have AP US History as well as AP English 3. You will have to sign up for both of them independently, even though this class is one class here at East, it is still 2 separate worlds according to College Board. So you'll need to make sure to sign up and pay for both courses independently. And just a quick reminder, October 23rd is the deadline to sign up, which is fast approaching. So if you plan on taking those tests, make sure to get it done before October 23rd. As one of the kind of history, one of the teachers on the history side of things here, our history textbook for this class is a pretty good one as far as history textbooks go. Eric Foner's Give Me Liberty. It's very narrative based and it allows the students to feel like they're reading more of a story about American history, which is kind of a big part of our class, rather than just a bunch of names, dates, and facts. So we like it. As far as how to use the textbook, we really encourage the students to do their reading outside of class before they come to class. That way, we don't have to talk about the kind of what people normally think about history as just a boring list of facts, names, dates, and things that happened. And we can spend our time in class talking about the implications of those things that they are already aware of. And that's really where the beauty and utility of American Studies comes into play, as whenever we have time and the freedom to talk about what this event means or what this war means for American identity as a whole. So that being said, it's important for your kids to read their textbooks outside of class. But we've always been pretty realistic about our expectations for reading. And we're trying to be even more so this year because it's insane. And so we've even been taking our chapter readings and releasing abridged or shorter expectations for, if you have time with the craziness, please try and focus on these important parts of the chapter and bring that knowledge with you to class. So we've been trying to be realistic about this year. And speaking of the craziness of this year, 2 of the things that we've been trying to keep in mind is that communication and how students are assessed have been big problems to try and fix this year. As Masay was saying, it's a family, and it's hard being a family whenever things are virtual for most of our students. And so even those kids who are at school, it's not the same experience, right? And so we've been trying to make it as AmStud as possible, if that's even a word. But the communication aspect is something we've really been trying to focus on. We've been trying to do everything that we can to make it, make your kids feel that they are a part of something. And so I hope that they are starting to feel that as we've rounded out our first 9 weeks. And the second thing is assessment. We know that with some kids taking tests at home and some kids taking tests at school, we've had to kind of let some things go as teachers. And one of those things is we allow open note assessments and things like that. But it's just our way of acknowledging that this year is very unprecedented, and we're going to have to continue working throughout the year to try and make it the best possible experience for your students. So with all of that, I'm going to kick it over to my immediate partner, Ms. Bauer.
Well, hi, I'm Ms. Bauer. This is my 2nd year teaching American Studies. I spent 7 years teaching language arts in elementary, and then I taught educational psychology to college freshmen while I was working on my PhD in gifted education. Now I bring language arts and humanities into history with Mr. South. So AmStud is meant to be the extension of humanities that a lot of our students took in 9th and 10th grade. So it's designed to meet the needs of gifted students, their curiosity and their drive to connect and consider what if. We teach with the goal in mind of uncovering the humanity of those who lived and died, and to delve into the reality of who tells that story. So we tackle a lot of unanswered questions. We allow students to experience the unknown. And that is something we've found in the past that gifted students really cling to, the ability for them to contribute to the class, which is why we really encourage that outside textbook reading so they have background knowledge to bring with them to what we do in class. So with that, we focus on critical thinking and creativity and collaboration. We do this through a lot of self-selected project-based learning and as much group work as we can right now, given all the current social distancing that is going on. But we believe that choice is essential to gifted students learning for their sense of autonomy. So we do what we call SSR, self-selected reading. And this is where typically English teachers would say, okay, everybody, now we're all gonna read this novel together. What we do is we let students choose the novels that they read and the nonfiction books that they read. Then they can apply what they're reading to our content. And since they're all reading different things, they have lots that, they feel like they have their own contribution to give. And it gives them a lot of creativity and how they can assimilate that into our content. So although we teach the course together as seamlessly as possible, we do also emphasize humanities elements, right? But we also, like Mr. South said, we attend to the coursework of APUSH and AP language. So we tell history as a narrative, and we use the voices of those who lived through it, and to reveal the realities of what it was like. And one of the ways we do this that we really love is we read passages that were written by the people of the time. So for example, we read a letter from Abigail Adams to her son, John Quincy. He's on a voyage to France with his father, who was not yet president, but would be. And it gives us the opportunity to take this historical document and allow us to set the stage with our history knowledge, but then to also analyze the language and the arguments that Adams uses to persuade her son, in this case, for him to glean the most from his experiences. So we combine the content that is from the specific APUSH test and the AP Lang test, but into this useful way of accessing the knowledge that we want for them to access. So since specifically for AP Lang, the focus is argumentation and nonfiction. So synthesizing these skills into primary documents of the time period, it allows us to purposefully combine the content. And Ms. Cox will talk to you more about that content.
Hi, I'm Ms. Cox. I have been at Plano East since 2007. This is my 18th year teaching overall. I taught a few years in California before I moved out here. In the history portion, the time period that we cover, we start with kind of that pre-colonization, some call it pre-Columbian period, and go all the way through Barack Obama's administration. Looking at a variety of different things, using skills of critical thinking and writing to dig in and really understand what happened within the context of the time period. So there's a lot of different options of what kids can take. They could take APUSH by itself, or they could take dual credit, or they could take on level. And all of those provide a different experience. So like the dual credit experience, which I've been able to be a part of the past 2 years, it covers the same time period, but it's really up to each individual professor to select their textbook and what they want to dive into. Whereas we're looking more at what, College Board recommendations, but allowing the kids through more of the humanities approach to look at that time period through a piece of art. Or for a couple of examples, when we were looking at Boston and the Puritans, we also read a chapter from the Scarlet Letter. And when we were talking about George Washington and political parties forming, we looked at his farewell address. So we're allowing the kids to use all of these different aspects of writing and language and painting and just different things to process through the information. So, I mean, it's a wonderful thing. I taught American Studies a couple years ago and I've come back to it, and I just think it's fantastic for the kids to be able to think outside of a traditional, let me listen to a lecture every day structure. So Ms. DeVilliers is going to give you a couple more details as to what our course entails.
Hi, I'm Giselle DeVilliers, and it is my 11th year back at Plano East. I have been teaching for about 18 years. I began my career here at Plano East actually as a special education teacher, and then migrated over to social studies. And so I've done some APUSH, and I'm really excited to be a part of the American Studies team this year. So I just wanted to kind of update you on the various resources that are available to your students. As I'm sure you are familiar with, we are heavily using Google Classroom this year. All assignments are running through Google Classroom, just because that's the tool that we have through the district, and your students probably know more about how to use it than we do. But we are all becoming quickly proficient and working with them on using the Google Classroom. We have something really unique in American Studies in that we do actually have our own website where we house materials for the students. So that's a centralized place where every student in American Studies can go and access various documents. They can, for English, they can access PowerPoints and slides that we've used in history. The great thing about that website, it has got a wealth of other information that they can go to. It's got synapses of videos, of guest lectures, and just a wealth of information for them there. We're starting to slowly incorporate the use of AP Classroom, which is actually a College Board tool. It's a fairly new tool that is produced by College Board. And so all of your students have joined our AP Classrooms. They actually are a member of 2 different AP Classrooms because they're going to be a member of the AP Language Classroom for English and American, and a member of the AP US History Classroom for the history. That is the only place where the history and the English cannot see each other, because to be a member of the AP Classroom, you have to be the teacher certified by College Board to do that. And so that's the only time that we're not completely combined. And like I said, we'll be using that from time to time to give your student experiences that are going to look like the things that they will be seeing when it's time to take the College Board test in the spring, if they choose to do that to try to earn college credit. And lastly, we have referenced the textbook several times. Our textbook is online, but we were very fortunate to be able to offer a paper textbook, a hard copy textbook to our students if they want one. We gave them a couple of opportunities to come up and get them. If your student does not have a hard copy textbook and they really want one, have them communicate with whichever one of us happens to be their teacher. I have a student come and get one this afternoon. So have them communicate with us, and we'll make arrangements to make sure that we can get that to them. So as far as materials, that's it. And of course, if you've got any questions, concerns, email is going to be the best way to reach all of us. And you can access that through your child's parent portal. And we look forward to hearing any questions or concerns that you might have.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.